The Wimbledon Tennis Championships 2018 has started in southwest London. Here are all the main stories from day one. Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Anne-Marie. I'm going to be bringing you a daily video with the main stories from Wimbledon 2018. The Tennis Championships have begun, my favourite Grand Slam out of the four, and there are so many stories that have happened already on day one, so let's get straight into it. The first one is, of course, about two big seeds going out on day one in Southwest 19. The first one is, of course, Grigor Dimitrov, the Bulgarian 6th seed in the tournament, fell in 4 sets to a resurgent Stan Wawrinka. Grigor Dimitrov took the first set 6-1, and I was thinking, this isn't going to go Stan Wawrinka's way. It was the big match on centre court, and then all of a sudden Wawrinka probably felt resurged, re-energised. The crowd really got behind him, which I thought was absolutely wonderful, and he took the next 2 sets as a tie-break and then took the 4th set. So Wawrinka, good to see him back on the grass court. Dimitrov, some questions need to be asked about him. I think nerves got to him in the end. I think he couldn't control the nerves when it came to serving. His points just fell apart, and it's a real shame because he's so talented, and yet when it comes to the big stage, nerves totally take over. So that is one of the big stories of the day. Roger Federer, let's talk about him. The #1 seed, back on centre court, back on the place that he calls home. Fairly easy win for him, did it in 3 fairly quickly as well. But the big story for him was the fact that he wasn't wearing a certain sponsor's clothing. He's now moved on to somebody else, but he's still wearing the previous sponsor's footwear. A bit of a tricky one to understand, but if you Google Roger Federer and a certain sponsor, there'll be lots of stories about it. But it was quite big because he'd been with this sponsor for a very, very long time, about 10 years, and that distinctive RF logo that he wears, nowhere to be seen apart from supporters that are in the crowd and on the plastic that covers the rackets. Go figure. So that was quite an interesting one. Talking about the RF logo, it's such a distinctive logo. It is known globally around the world, so it's going to be really interesting to see how Federer is going to manage that with the previous sponsor. His logo is very distinctive. It's very much like Cristiano Ronaldo's logo, which is the CR7. RF is, you see it and you know it's Roger Federer. So it's going to be interesting to see how his team are going to negotiate that. And there was a lot of buzz about how big his new sponsorship deal is, and I'm sure there'll be more on that on the days to come. His loss in Halle, which is in Germany, which Federer traditionally plays out pretty much every year, is his warm-up event. He lost that final to a young man called Borna Trojic, who also unfortunately went out in the first round. There was a bit of a discussion, maybe he had a bit of an injury, but he went out in straight sets, which means he's out of Federer's way, which means pretty much Federer's probably got a clear run leading up to the final, and he is the favourite for the tournament. Let's talk about some other losses as well, or should I say other wins. Venus Williams won in 3, had a bit of a tricky time against her opponent, but seemed to come through in the end, so she moves through into round 2. In her press conference, she talked about how wonderful it is that Serena, because Serena also played today and won in straight sets, she talked about Venus, this is, how it's lovely to have her sister back on court, to see her energised. It's been tough on tour, Venus talked about, without her sister there, so that was a great thing to see and to hear her talk about her sister in that way. Let's talk about Serena Williams. Serena is back. She played on court today. She played Arantxa Rus from the Netherlands, a straight sets win. Man, she is fired up. She is ready to go, and in fact I put her down as my dark horse for the tournament. You've heard it here first. I think she will pretty much make it through, probably to the quarters, semis. I'm thinking she is a dark horse for this tournament. But the big talk was about the fact what outfit she was going to wear. As we know, she's had some serious medical issues after she gave birth to her daughter Olympia, and having to wear a special cat suit, as it was called, at Roland Garros, the French Open, which will help with her blood flow because she has circulation problems. But she didn't wear that. She was wearing all white because that's what the All England Club demand. But also, quite interestingly, she was wearing these, if you look closely, the leggings that she was wearing wasn't exactly white, they were more cream. So I suspect the All England Club might take a look at that. But as I said, she came through in straight sets. Who else can we talk about? Let's talk about Sloane Stephens. So I had massive hopes for Sloane Stephens. I thought she'd played fantastically well against Simona Halep in the French Open. The Roland Garros was a finalist there, and I thought, she went out in round one at the Australian Open, a finalist at Roland Garros. She's won the US Open and also won the Miami Open. So I'm thinking good vibes, good vibes. How wrong I was. Stephens is out. She went out 6-1, 6-3 to Donna Vekic, who played superbly well. Superbly well. She is a proper grass court player. A baseliner is Donna Vekic. And Sloane Stephens just didn't seem to get into gear at all. Her footwork was all over the place. Her shots were going long, or Vekic just defended her side of the court superbly well. And the rumour is that Sloane Stephens didn't actually turn up to Wimbledon until Friday. Didn't do any warm-up events at all. I'm always slightly nervous. You're either the type of player who can play your way into Wimbledon on the grass court, somebody like Simona Halep, or you're somebody who does need to go and just... That change from going from clay to grass is quite big. There's a big gap between the two in terms of the playing surfaces, clearly because they're different from each other, but they are a different surface and you have to play in a different way. Clay is very slow, grass is very fast. And I do wonder if some players are aware of that. And with Sloane Stephens, maybe with hindsight, it might have been worth considering taking part in 1 or 2 grass court tournaments. Who knows? That's the beauty of hindsight. But she is out, the number 4 seed. So let's see what she does for the US Open later this year. Let's talk about the British players that made their debut at Wimbledon this week. Katie Swan. What a win for her. She won over Arina Camelia Begu, I need to get this right, in 2 sets, 6-2, 6-2. Fantastic win from her. And it was so brilliant because it wasn't a win where she really had to grind it out, that she had to battle back to overcome Begu. It was literally a straight sets win, 6-2, 6-2. Katie Swan is managed by Andy Murray's team as part of his 77 management team. She's had a bit of a topsy-turvy time. She's been a junior. She reached the junior number 3s, but also has suffered some serious injuries as well. So this is a great win for her, and she looked like she belonged out there when I was watching her, so congratulations to her. She will meet Mihaela Băsănescu, the 30-year-old player who's come back into tennis after a break, after doing a PhD in sports science. Fantastic for her. Unfortunately, a fellow Brit, Harriet Dart, gave it all that she could. She lost in 3 sets to Karolina Pliskova. It seemed that when Harriet Dart slipped over, she lost her footing and damaged her thigh. She needed a medical time out for the trainer to come on. In fact, they went away from the court so they could apply some strapping to the thigh, came back out, managed though to take the second set of Pliskova, but then lost in the third, which is a real shame, but somebody to watch definitely for the future. On to day 2, where England, in terms of the World Cup, they're going to be playing Colombia later. So funny enough, a lot of the Brits are on first thing this morning. So main play starts on court at 11:30 on the outside courts, and then on the show courts from 1 o'clock. So today, looking down at my notes, we've got Naomi Brody. Her brother Liam played yesterday. He lost to Milos Raonic. So it's sister's turn today. Naomi Brody, who will be playing Garbine Muguruza, who's the number 3 seed and the defending champion, of course, of Wimbledon. Johanna Konta is on at 11:30. There's going to be a lot of eyes on Johanna Konta because of her topsy-turvy form leading into this tournament. Carl Edmund plays today. Jay Clark will play Ernest Gulbis later on. And Heather Watson and Katie Dunn, they're playing later on this afternoon. But as it is day 2, it means we get to see the number 1 player in the world in terms of the ladies' side, Simona Halep. She'll be featuring later on today, as well as Djokovic, as well. Novak Djokovic, he's my dark horse for the tournament. Del Potro, Petra Kvitova, who's my favourite for the title, Dominic Thiem, Maria Sharapova, also Nick Kyrgios. He's going to be drawing a lot of the crowds to him today, as well as Ash Barty, Naomi Osaka, Daria Kasatkina, all start today. So let's see what happens on day 2. I can confidently say probably 1 or 2 seeds will fall like they did yesterday, but the sun is shining, the weather is actually absolutely glorious. So I'm sure everyone will enjoy their strawberries and cream, and there'll be more stories coming to you tomorrow.